the effects of human behavior have reached a certain level where we can't avoid dealing with the repercussions. And I think him saying that just meant that we've reached a point where you can't continue to ignore all that's going on. Like whatever we did to make this happen, it's coming.
What's up, y'all? It's Monday again. That day of the week, Monday. Tonight, what are we Bliss talking about tonight? I have a guest. He goes by Emmanuel Wynter. He's a musician. He has a band. He said he's probably somewhere tickling the strings. He has an album. It's called Past 2 Years. Oh, I really like that title of that album. He's in here right now. But I'm going to ask him a couple of questions. I really like his vibe. I went on his page today and did a little research. So, questions I can ask him and pick his brain with. What's up, baby girl? Hey, Nanda. Hi.
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
I'm doing good. It's so nice to meet you. I go by Carmen.
It's me too.
And I do this thing where I like to build, learn, inspire, collaborate, and share keys with some of our community's leaders, people that have been going steady with their purpose. And I have to tell you, Emmanuel, I was blown away by your string playing, your string tickling.
Thank you.
I really like that. So I'm going to ask you about 5 questions today. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Yes. I already told the people that you're a musician, you have your own band, you're probably somewhere tickling the strings, and you got your album Past 2 Years out now, it's your debut album. I want to know, I saw this meme on your page, right? And it says, no, it's actually not a meme, it was you playing, and you captioned it, Mother Earth is pregnant for the 3rd time. I wanted you to expand on that.
So for that particular video, I was playing over a backing track to a song called Maggot Brain by Funkadelic. And if you listen to it, it's about like 9 minutes long. But the very first thing that George Clinton says is, Mother Earth is pregnant for the 3rd time. So the caption was actually a reference to the song.
Got you. Okay. And what do you think that line means? What does that mean to you? I just thought it was like the way it sounded.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think, I don't know. I can only, speculate on what he meant by that. But I think what he meant by that was that the consequences, the effects of human behavior have reached a certain level where we can't avoid dealing with the repercussions. And I think him saying that just meant that we've reached a point where you can't continue to ignore all that's going on. Like whatever we did to make this happen, it's coming. So.
That makes sense. I was thinking probably the same thing when I heard it or read it on your page. I was like, that might have like a lot to do with, or we can insert it here on what's going on here.
Yes.
Mother Earth is tired of our, if I can be frank, tired of our shit. Like
she is
very tired. But that's dope. I really liked your caption. And you have a few captions that I really like. I was like, I like this.
Really, I just type stuff. I don't even know if it's gonna go over well or not. I just put it out there.
Yeah. Let's see. My next question for you: what are your origins of playing the violin? I actually used to the first instrument violin, and so
Yeah,
is it the violin or viola that you're playing?
I'm playing the violin.
Violin. Okay. So what
Yeah.
was the origins looking like? Because I noticed that you get funky with it, and I know my origins with playing the violin was very classical, and then I actually joined the jazz band in high school, and I got to
Oh, that's
improv
awesome.
and learn improv on the violin. And so, what did your origins look like?
I started playing classical music. I started with the Suzuki method back in the first grade, and the school that I was going to had like a violin class. And all my friends were in there, and I thought it looked cool, so I had my mom sign me up, and it started in that class with all my friends, and then I enjoyed it, and it was something that I took to fairly well. So um, I went from private lessons there, and then I did that for a while, and then I moved down here from New York, which is where I was when I started playing, and then we continued private lessons down here, and then I was in middle school orchestra, and then it wasn't until high school that I started to branch out and do other stuff. I um, I started, trying to play blues. I joined a jazz program and learned about improv, and that really like opened my whole world.
Yeah.
It's a organization based in Charlotte. It's called the Jazz Arts Initiative.
Mm-hmm.
And they not only do they put on concerts for the community to, come through and watch, but they have programs where students, high school level students, and I think they fairly recently opened up a class for adult age people, but they have classes where you can just learn about jazz, learn about the language, learn about the guys who came before and sort of paved the way. And it was a really cool opportunity. So from there, it sort of opened me up to everything else that I'm doing now.
It's amazing, like how your experiences or your educational background, like with music, how that morphs your entire musicianship, like you as a musician. Because when I was in jazz band, that was the breakout for me too. Like I'm so used to doing like classical music in middle school, and then being in the jazz band, I wanted to, as long as it's in this key, you can play those notes, And I was
Yeah.
like, wow, like it opened my eyes to something new. I didn't even know like you could do that, really. So
Yeah.
was that kind of your epiphany when you made that transition into that style of music?
Yeah, it was. And I was listening to a lot of blues guys in high school. I was listening to B.B. King. I was listening to Buddy Guy. I was listening to Jimi Hendrix, and I was like, man, what these guys doing is so awesome. Like, and I wanted to do that. And I could play. I picked up guitar in high school as well, because of those guys. But I was like, I can do that on my violin. There's nothing saying I can't do that on my violin, and that really pushed me. And then, I started listening to jazz. I listened to Herbie Hancock and Oscar Peterson. He's one of my favorite jazz guys. And just hearing how those guys can express and invoke emotions through their instrument was just very inspiring to me. And I knew that I wanted to do that. So
How many hours a day do you think you locked yourself in your room or in your practice room, just like figuring it out, getting your muscle memory down?
It really depends. There are some days where I can literally be on my instrument all day. Uh, it's not. I don't necessarily have like a regimented schedule, like, oh, I'm gonna do 2 hours a day or every day. But there are times where I spend all day on my instrument, and it's crazy. I'll be up in my room and it's like 11 p.m. and I realize I haven't had dinner. but yeah,
Yeah.
no, it's
That,
definitely something.
I mean, that means you really love what you do. Like you're really into your craft when you can spend hours of the day like time doesn't exist, you know. That's how you know that's for you, you know. Let's see. My next question for you. Playing with a band versus playing solo. I wanted you to kind of go back and forth with that and tell me some perks and maybe some about each one of those and you from your own experience.
Yeah. Well, from my own experience, I think playing with a band is leaps and bounds better than playing solo, or like over a track. Simply because, I look at music as a very communal thing. So when you're in a band, you're, with a bunch of other people and you're making music together, and you can go off of what, the bassist does, you can go off of what the drummer does or what the guitarist does. And there's a constant communication that happens when you're playing with other people. When you're playing over a track, it's much more rigid than fluid in the sense that you have to know what the track is doing. What you're doing is not really communication. In the same way, it's like you're on a set track, which can still be an enjoyable playing experience, but it's definitely different. And I find that I'm blown away every time I do one of them for a long time and then switch to the other, because it's a very stark difference.
Stark difference. Like, what do you mean by stark difference?
Stark, like a very, very vast difference. Yeah.
Okay. I thought you said stark. Okay. Difference, like it's a difference. But yeah, I definitely agree with that. With me as a musician too, I definitely noticed the difference between playing solo and with the band. And playing with the band is something that you have to get used to, because everybody's timing or personal rhythm or frequency might be off if they know each other or they practice enough with each other, And
right.
So sometimes it's even just easier if you're a solo artist and you got your guitar to play. If there's a band out there, it might be a little bit easier for you to do this on your own today, because they don't know like the different riffs or the different sections of your piece, especially if it's the original piece. You know what I mean? So that can kind of knock you off a little bit if you're up there playing and singing. And I noticed that you sing too, and you play the violin. I was like,
yeah,
this is freaking amazing. Why haven't I been like that?
I don't know.
Yes. All right. So my next concept or discussion piece with you, music. Sorry, I have to read my writing. Music faces. Oh, so when you're playing, I'm always like, every video I notice that you got your faces like you be in it. So I want you to kind of describe like those faces, what they mean. Maybe not necessarily what they mean, but why is it important to be that animated when you're playing?
Yeah, well, I will start off by saying that the faces that I make are very much involuntary. Like 95% of the time, they're involuntary. I think the remaining 5%, when it is voluntary, it's because I'm doing a particular thing, or and I do this with folks that I play with all the time, where I'll play a particular line and I'm doing it as sort of like a, hey, here's this. There's I know in one group that I played in, there's a motif that I would play, and every time I played it, I knew the guitarist would side-eye me. So it basically became a joke So when I would play it, I would look at him, and I'm making sure he knew that I'm playing this. Um, but yeah, and that's just one of the forms of communication that happens on stage. But largely, the faces that I make are involuntary. I don't. It's more so a product of me trying to get what's inside of me outside of me. But yeah, no. Sometimes you just gotta make a face. Sometimes you gotta
Yeah, I love that because I've seen it both ways. I see some musicians, they're up there and they're just like straight face, or they're just nonchalant. And me, I'm an eye closer. Like, I close my eyes and I get it. And then obviously your faces, it brings it to, like, now I know it's real. It's almost like that, because I've seen it both ways. I've seen non-emotion, and then I've seen emotion when people play, and it's like it's something about that emotion coming through or presenting itself through, like a face or your eyes closed, or and seeing that visually while you're hearing this beautiful music. It's something about that. It's something to be said that, like you're letting that music really use you to inspire or influence or create that vibration. So I think that's really dope. My next question for you: where has music taken you that you would have never thought you would be?
The middle of nowhere in Wyoming.
Really? I saw that on your page. You said Wyoming was beautiful and that you really enjoyed being out there, right?
Yeah. I went out there last, I think it was September, beginning of September. And that particular group, we were getting ready to play a wedding for people, and they had a wedding at this ranch in Wyoming. So what we did was we flew into Denver, Colorado, and then got rental cars and drove from Denver and stayed in Laramie, Wyoming, which is like mostly north and a little bit west. And then Laramie was probably about an hour away from the ranch that we played at. And on the drive to the gig, we drove through, I think it was called Medicine Bow National Park. And it was gorgeous. Like, you were driving and you see the mountains on the horizon, and then you're basically driving up into the mountains. And then I think that picture that I posted, I think it was taken at like 11,000 feet above sea level. And then all of those mountain peaks were like 14,000 feet above sea level. And it was just, and the picture doesn't even do it justice, honestly. It was just a really awesome sight to take in. And when I started playing music professionally like 5 years ago, I didn't think that would be somewhere. I didn't think that would be something I would get to see because I was, playing music. But it was a nice trip. It was a nice trip.
Have you ever been outside of the country before with your music?
Yeah. Yes. Well, not necessarily with music, but my family is Jamaican. So I've been there several times, and then when we've done family get-togethers outside of the country, I've brought my violin and played a little bit for the family. So, but outside of like family stuff, I haven't done music things outside of the country. But I would love to. I would love that.
Where would you like to go if you could?
Ooh. Okay. So where would I like to go? Wow. There's so much. Let's see. I mean, I would love to play. Love to do like a big, public show in Jamaica, even. Just because I love it there. I went down there 2 years ago almost, and that was the first time I'd been since I was a kid. So yeah, I definitely go down there. So being able to play music down there to a crowd would be awesome.
Yeah. Have you ever played like out where it's like super warm outside, like super hot? Like, what's your ideal weather playing? And because I can imagine like, out playing, which I've done before, and if it's too hot or if it's just like a slight breeze, then that's almost like it's euphoric. If it's like a slight breeze, and then you get, you get those.
Yeah.
So
I've been I've done high 90s with like super humid and it's gross. I've done that. I've played in 20-degree weather outside with my electric violin, because I would never bring my acoustic violin into that. And that was a very interesting gig. They gave us space heaters for the stage, but we didn't really feel it, honestly, until maybe the second set. I don't know, but it was 25 degrees that morning. I remember it very specifically because we were all struggling. But it ended up being a good show.
I feel that. I definitely feel that. My last question for you, and I appreciate you being on Bliss Talk tonight. Got to
thank you for having me.
We talked about, the Earth being pregnant for the third time. We talked about your origin. We talked about you playing the band versus playing solo. We talked about your music faces. And we also just recently got finished talking about where music has taken you, where you thought you'd never be. Right now, I want to ask you, is there any keys or concepts that you can pass along to people that want to follow in your footsteps?
Yeah. I would say the main thing is to, once you realize what it is that you want to do, know that you can do it. Just because, you may not see a lot of people doing it per se. Like, for instance, I did not know about any of the jazz and blues violinists who came before me until I started well into when I started playing jazz. But they were out there. So just once you have that vision of what you want to do in your head, go for it. Do whatever you need to do. Invest in yourself. Invest time in yourself. And just go for it. There is nothing you can't do. I would say that. There is nothing you can't do. So
nothing you can't. I thought it was very interesting that you said, once you have that vision, go for it. Because you got to start from somewhere.
You do.
You might be at the lowest frequency, but you'll get to that next frequency if you keep looking into it and investing your time. You said that too. Investing your time. That's very important. Because you said you can go days at a time. Like just playing or forgetting to eat and things of that nature. So that value your dedication to your craft. Like I said, I want to thank you for coming on, Emmanuel. This has been a beautiful Bliss Talk conversation. If you guys would like to follow me, you can follow me at cbliss_pics. I do post these videos on my YouTube, so make sure you subscribe to that. Emmanuel, when you get up here, subscribe to Bliss Talk so you can see your video on there as well. And then I have blisstalkshow.life. That is the website where you can find my t-shirts, Bliss Talk t-shirts, and all the other videos inspired 30-minute conversations that I have with people of the community. And before we close this thing out tonight, I normally ask if somebody wants to ask a question. We're a little slow tonight, but if anybody's still in here with us, ask Emmanuel at least one question, type it in there. And while you guys are typing, Emmanuel, please tell us where we can support you.
I don't think I heard the last thing you said. Hold on.
Okay.
Okay.
I was saying that while we're waiting, if somebody's in here and that wants to ask a question, will you tell us where we can support you?
Oh, yeah. So my Instagram is Eman the Man with 2 N's at the end. So at EMANTHEMANN. My name is Emmanuel Wynter, and my last name is spelled with a Y, so it's WYNTER. But if you look me up on your favorite streaming service, you'll find my music. I released an album earlier this year, back in February, and it's called These Past 2 Years, and it will be on there. Apple Music, Spotify, Tidal, Weezer, or I think Deezer, whatever it's called. All that stuff, it's on there. Stay tuned. I've got a single. I'm planning to release a single next month. And, if you follow me on Instagram, you will get all the info straight from the horse's mouth. Thank you for having me on there. I had a good time talking about, various things.
Me too. This was awesome. You have a great week and weekend. If I don't hear from you, let's stay in touch. I definitely want to keep you on my feet so I can listen to that beautiful music that you make.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.